Hello everybody, JP here, and I have my 1986 CR-125 here too. It's in the shop. Obviously it's been blown up. I will probably post the GoPro video in the beginning of this video so that you guys can see it blowing up. Basically, I was probably at more than 3/4 throttle and the bike would just started losing horsepower and torque like crazy. And then all of a sudden I just had no throttle control at all. I tried to kick the bike again. I tried to kick it over with the starter, and I felt like literally no compression. And I'm about to show you guys what went wrong with it and why it happened. So, before my ride, this coolant level was all the way at the top. When I took the top end off, there wasn't any coolant in any of the lines. And I also took the bolt out right here, and nothing came out. This drain bolt right here. Now, I was really surprised at this, and I started to think that I burned all the coolant off. But I'll show you guys the real reason why all the coolant is not. Well, what is that we see dripping from the bike? That is the coolant. You guys may not be able to see this, but about right there, I'm not even sure if the camera's going to focus on it, there's a little rip in the gasket. And somehow, all the coolant must have dripped out from the time I got to my friend's house to the time that we were riding. And the coolant must have been totally drained for at least a few minutes. Because this just doesn't happen like the minute you run out. So, you guys are probably wondering what happened due to the coolant running out. So, the first thing I did, naturally, was check the sleeve and the cylinder for score marks. And, as you guys can see, the cylinder isn't in that bad of shape. I'm not even sure if I'll have to re-sleeve it or anything if I decide to rebuild it. I'm still in that stage where it's like this type of bike would maybe not be worth rebuilding, but we'll see. As you can see, I think that's either that might be a score mark near. Oh, yep, that is. Never mind. You guys can see right there at the exhaust bridge that a piece of the Nika cell coating has been chipped off. I didn't even realize that until I started making this video. And you might not be able to see this, but in the cylinder, there's like little sand-sized, or not even like smaller sized little pieces of metal that are just in there. And that's not good, obviously. But now, here is where the real problem was. Onto the cylinder head. As you can see, the cylinder head chipped in quite a few places, and this is why I didn't have any compression. It chipped right there, and it chipped right here. So, when the bike overheated, either this or the piston must have expanded, and the piston must have come up and hit it. And I should have stopped riding looking back at it, because I did notice the bike was drastically losing power. But, like, actually though, if you just look at the overall shape of this whole thing, I mean, it's kind of like you would expect it to do something like this anyway. Like, the metal just looks like it was, I don't know. I mean, you could definitely see the age, so I'll probably have to buy another one of these if I rebuild it. So now the real question is it worth rebuilding? You guys could probably comment on this and just give your opinion, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. Honestly, I bought the bike for $500, and then the money I put into it, I put it like this number plate on for $45 just to make it look nice. I know it was kind of expensive for a number plate, but I just, I wanted that. And then the handguards and the bar pad I could reuse, so I won't waste any. I won't say that that's part of the price. And then the Honda decals just to make it look a little nicer. But here's the deal. I just want a reliable bike. I get that I mean, I'm not sure if you would call it my fault that it blew up. because I didn't exactly look over and see if any gaskets were leaking. But I will look into this further, and just at the end of the video right now, actually, I will take this water pump cover off and just see if anything, if it's rusted like the old, I think the year is 85 to 87 Hondas. They all have the magnesium water pump cover, and they just all will rust over time. There's nothing you can do about it except for keep your coolant new. So that's what we're gonna do right now. I'll just show you guys, and then I'll continue going on if it's worth it. Okay, so I took this water pump cover off, and it doesn't look like it's corroded. It's actually, I think that's just old coolant that's just been left in there for, you know, so long that it started to just gum up. But if I take a screwdriver, let's see, I think this one's greasy. Hold on. Like if I take this, and this is anti-grease on it, so I have to wash my hands afterwards. It comes right out. It's just like, you know, it's just gunk. You guys can comment on this too, but that's what I think it is. I think it's just from like if I could just it's hard to do this with the camera, but it scrapes right off. It's not like rust or anything. So hopefully I know what I'm talking about here, since I don't really work with water-cooled bikes that often. And that's weird because right in this hole it's like brown. So I'm not sure. Hopefully the oil seal in the engine did not fail, and hopefully that's not actually gearbox oil, because I did not want to spend that much money. I really don't want to like take this engine out of the bike. I feel like if I spend more, like, I think my limit with how much I'm going to spend if I rebuild this is about $300. And that's being very generous. I mean, I love the bike. It's just I don't want it to become like a money pit. Like, I already feel like I bought the other guy's problem, but we'll see. Anyway, just comment what you guys think. It would be helpful to get some other people's input on it. I'll probably sell it as a parts bike, so I mean, if you guys actually want to inquire on it, if you guys have a bike like this, it was a really strong bike when it ran. It was actually so cool. Like I beat a 450F up a hill at the Coatesville Trail that I used to run at, and it was just all around just really fun. And I mean, I don't have there's no real like downside to this bike. Like there's nothing I don't like about it other than the vintage part of not being able to get parts, the vintage problems like that. So it's just I'm still in high school, and I wanted to buy a newer bike, but my parents wanted me to save my money. It's kind of funny because this is probably the opposite of what I'm doing. So my decision right now is I'm either going to rebuild this bike if it's worth it, or I'm gonna sell it or part it out, but that might take like a year, so I'll probably just sell it as a whole. And then I'm either gonna buy a KTM 125, like a new one, not brand new, I mean like 2000 something, 2004 or something, or maybe a KTM 200 EXC or XC, because this is just not working out. I really don't want to have an incident happen like this again. Best case scenario, I think if I rebuilt this, I would buy the whole cylinder. But the problem with that is that if you go on an OEM parts website, the only place I could find it for the cylinder and the head, it's about $1,000. And the Kelly Blue Book price for this bike isn't even $600, so I'm not paying $1,000 to rebuild it. It's just this bike isn't old enough for it to be considered vintage and to be worth enough money yet. So it's just a shame. Some of the pluses for this bike, though, that people might want to buy it, is that it does have the DID gold rims like all Hondas did. These are very rare now, and they're very desirable for collectors, believe it or not. Everyone likes these. It's nice to see them. And then also, this also has a full DG exhaust. This is the DG expansion chamber and the DG exhaust silencer. So guys, please comment on your opinion, because I am very lost right now on what I'm going to do with this bike. I want to rebuild it. My dad wants me to rebuild it, but he's probably not going to pay for it. So, I mean, of course he wants me to, because it does look nice, but why would I rebuild it if I'm going to be wasting my money? Probably part this out or sell it. Anyway, I know I'm rambling right now. It's early in the morning and I got up just so I could work on my bike. So anyway, comment. Tell me what your opinion is, please. Thank you. Subscribe. And have a good